So you want to be able to do that to bosses on Chaos 20. But you're a Clawbringer, and you're straight level 40, and you got trash gear. So I think a lot of people are in that position where they don't really know where to start with Clawbringer. And I know I put out this build guide, but it was pretty geared and everything, and it didn't really give a good, idea of where to start. So today I'm going to put on all this trash gear to simulate being level 40. All this gear that I'm putting on is going to have like no enchantments, and they're not going to do anything for me. So it's going to be as if I just don't have any, as if I don't have any legendaries at all. I don't have any good gear. Put on, well, I guess I don't have too bad of a melee weapon, but I'll put on the worst one I have. Sure. So the only thing I'm going to have is a class mod. You know what? Screw it. Don't even do that. Head over to the Chaos Chamber. And I'm going to demo how you're going to play this at a low level first. That's what we're going to do first. Demo how you play this build. I guess I'll show the skill tree one more time. I've already gone over it in the other video. It's the same build. It's still, we're using status effects. So I've got no class mods. One spell that doesn't do any damage. I'm not going to be dealing with that. Got, I guess I have 27% cooldown on the amulet, which will be helping. But it'll compensate for me not speccing into cooldown here. So, trash gear. I'm going to have no enchantments of note. And we will jump into a Chaos run at, let's say, Chaos 5. So enemies are going to have, double health than Chaos 1. And you don't need to farm on this by any means. This weapon doesn't have any anoints on it or anything. So, first thing, you pop your action skill. Right? It's where all of our damage comes from. This damage isn't great, but these guys are also pretty tanky. So our damage isn't all that bad. All things considered. For this being Chaos 5 and everything. And using a weapon with no enchants or anything. My gear's going to be worse than yours here. But you see a big problem is how much downtime we have. We're waiting for our cooldowns for so long. That's why we need to deal with cooldown first. Like, you need to try to get that out of the way. But basically, the gameplay is just move fast, keep our damage boost up, and just shoot whatever weapon you have, and just keep applying the status effects. It's going to debuff the enemy, it's going to do a lot of our damage. That encounter wasn't so bad. I'm going to do one more encounter here. That one was pretty easy, and it was flyers. I'll take Random Rupture. So continuing on. It's a big high value target. We'll pop our invis, and we'll just start smacking them. Every melee crit's going to apply another status effect. So you want to melee whenever it's safe and possible inside of your action skill. Because we want to hit those melee crits. Oh, there's a lot of big enemies. So we can just status them up. And just let these statuses tick. You can see. And again, your damage could be much higher than this. This is garbage. I mean, I don't have anything right now, and I'm on Chaos 5. So, well, I guess now's a good time. We'll jump into the gear. What do you want first? You're fresh. You got this gear. What do you want to get? First thing, absolutely first thing, get a weapon that you like, right? I prefer SMGs. Just get a weapon that you like using. I like ones with auto-aim. So any of these, this is my favorite. So get a weapon you like. And then, first order of business is cooldown. you need cooldown rate. So there's two options for this. You can either roll amulets to try to find the, whenever you cast a spell, reduce remaining action skill cooldown by 20%. I'll show what this does. So you can see my cooldown. Kind of hard to see because it's almost full. But as you're casting, you're going to gain cooldown reduction on your spell. And then, if you can't get this amulet or you don't want to roll amulets because they're a pain, melee weapons. Every melee weapon will roll with one of these, warrior, vampire, caustic, some of those things. We're looking for ancient. Ancient will make melee attacks restore 5% of your action skill. So go ahead and show that off here. I gotta burn my action skill to use it. And then I'll start hitting things, and you'll see my action skill cooldown come back. Look at that. My action skill's already back. And go again. Die. Preferably don't do that. But yeah, that's why we want cooldown. Between the amulet and casting your spell, or ancient on the weapon, if you had to pick one, it would be the amulet. But the amulet's hard to get, and even purples can roll with these things. So just keep an eye out and use whatever melee weapon gives you, cooldown back. That's first order. Second order, rings. Any rings with melee damage, go ahead and slap those on, right? You're going to do a lot more. It's just damage ups. For perks on rings, dealing damage to bosses is good. When shields depleted is good. Health above also can be good, depending on how you're playing and whether you're going invis when you're full health or not. Any of these really work. Don't worry about them too much. That's kind of min-maxing. Shields, not important. As for class mods, you want Stabbomancer power as number 1, of course. And then Clawbringer as your secondary. Those are the two we use. And for the skills, these are pretty much perfect. But anything that gives you status bonuses, right? Anything that gives you aura bonuses here. And all Stabbomancer power is going to increase the duration of this here invis. So we're going to be interactions go longer. So class mod's pretty simple. You'll probably just find one, or you can take a couple of rolls. I wouldn't go for it too fast. Spell, right? If you get the amulet, you're going to want a spell with a really low cooldown. This arcane bolt's really good, but any spell with this low cooldown will get the job done. Right? Lowest cooldown you can get, the better. If this isn't your, if you can't get one of these, you can get any spell with a channeling, with a channeled cast down there, and you can just tap the cast button, which won't cast the spell, but it will proc the cooldown on the amulet. So if you don't mind glitches, that's one way you can get this done. But once you start getting some cooldown, you'll start annihilating, because you'll always be in your action skill. And you see, even with no gear, I was still hitting pretty hard, in my action skill anyway. I just didn't have it up a lot. So once we remedy that, you can start blasting. Yeah. Alright. So that's the order of gear. That was the full play-by-play. I'm gonna do a short TLDR. Head back, cancel this run. And we'll give a breakdown of a TLDR. So, you're level 40 with trash gear. What do you go for in this order? Get a weapon that you like. Then search for cooldown. Number 2, search for cooldown. Use any melee weapon with ancient to reduce your cooldown on hit. Or use one of these amulets with a low cooldown spell to keep reducing your cooldown. The best choice is the amulet. It's harder to get, though. Don't worry about shields. Don't worry about rings much. Just put on melee damage. We already went over the spell. And the weapons. Class mod. Anything that kind of helps you with status effects. Right? And Stabbomancer power as our primary. Clawbringer as the secondary. That's pretty straightforward. All damage dealt, melee damage dealt. Great for us. That fire rate could be movement speed. That would be better. So once you get that, once you get a melee weapon with cooldown, or an amulet, and you start getting some rings, you'll start doing a lot more damage. You'll be able to farm and really piece together, you know, the optimal build that I've put together. And I'll probably even put out an updated guide on that. And lastly, enchantments. Enchantments are really cheap for the first couple. So what are you looking for? On action skill start, increase melee damage by 40%. All of our stuff is scaling with melee damage. That's great. Or you can get a on action skill start. Got one here somewhere. On action skill start. On action skill start. Increase melee damage by 40%. Again, that's good. What's best that I've seen is while action skill is active, increase elemental damage. And this shield would also be the best. But yeah, so you're just enchant your gear and try to find enchantments. They're so powerful that just take mediocre ones when you get them and just slap some on every piece. So you're replacing your gear. We'll spend 10 moon orbs trying to get a decent one, right? Take a couple rolls at it. It'll boost your power by so much and really help you start cranking those out faster. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. That's all I want to cover here. So I hope this helps. I hope this gets your Graveborn, your Clawbringer. Sorry, it is 7 a.m. and I haven't slept. I've been grinding. If you're Clawbringer, you know, fresh out the gate, you don't know what to do, I hope this video helped you. Alright, well, see ya.